Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to Possum Farms. We're going to be working on grow beds again today and trying to get the grow beds in full operation and ready to plant. And just as a test, because I wanted to play with it a little bit, I went and filled these things up with water yesterday and had a little bit of a nightmare. I used to buy Hydroton years ago, and it's a darker clay pellet. You may notice there's a slight difference in color. Some of them are light colored, some of them are dark. The ones that are dark are the actual Hydroton brand, and the important thing is these expanded clay pellets, they sink. You put them in water and they sink and they stay there. A lot of this new stuff that you can get cheap off the internet is expanded clay pellets. It's the same basic thing, but they use a different, lighter clay. And the problem with this is it doesn't sink, it floats. When you go and plant a bunch of stuff in a grow bed like this, the last thing you want is to have the grow bed rearranging the root structure every time it floods. And that's a major problem, a real big problem. And now I'm remembering why years ago I went to using gravel, just plain old pea gravel, because it sinks. You go and you mix this newer, lighter stuff in with the heavier gravel, and it does the same job. The important thing about this type of expanded clay pellets is because it's poofy with air inside of it, got a lot of holes and it's porous, much like volcanic rock. It holds a little bit of moisture, and it holds a little bit of air and nitrogen and oxygen. And that's important for the hydroponic process. So I'm going to end up buying a whole bunch of pea gravel and mixing it with all of this stuff that we went and washed yesterday, and to make it into something that's actually usable. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because you see it's dry. You see the tube is like right here at the top of the bed. Watch what happens when I fill it up with water. Set it for about 10 minutes on this zone, and here in a second it'll kick on. Oops. There we go. Blowing all the air out of the line. And now we wait. It's pouring water in here, and we should see all this stuff float, which is a Hydroton nightmare. It's getting closer. Now I'm starting to see a little bit of water coming up. Now you can see what I'm talking about. All this stuff is floating, and that is going to rearrange the root structure of all of our plants. Every time this thing floods, which is so not a good thing. That is so not a good thing right there. easily rearranged at the drop of a hat, and that's just really not going to work. So I'm going to have to take all of this floaty stuff and mix it with a bunch of gravel to make it usable. A little bit of a nightmare, but we will solve the problem and get Mrs. P's plant planted as soon as possible. After we let it run for a few minutes, what you end up with is this slurry of dirt, mud, dust, old fish poop. And we just keep doing that until it runs clear. This is a strainer bucket, so all the water will fall out. And there we go, another 5 gallons worth of grow media. Next, we're going to try washing some really old Hydroton. I just found it in storage in the old greenhouse. It's extremely dirty and nasty. We're going to see what we can do about cleaning it all up using this method. If it tears it up, I'm not out much. Those old cat litter buckets came in handy. The only real drawback to them is they break down in the sun and they become brittle after a few years, like 10 years out in the sun. Yeah, it's a muddy mess down in the bottom of that. Kind of nasty. So we'll see how this washes it. It'll be a good test.
Since this stuff floats, I went and got a paint strainer net, put it in one of my strainer buckets. That way we can do the final rinse with the strainer bucket and a hose. We can get most of the dirt knocked off, but still end up with a bunch of junk. See, that's running clear. Stuff that's coming out of here is mud. Ta-da! We've got 1.5 5-gallon buckets worth of Hydroton and 2 buckets worth of gravel. My wife is coming from our local home improvement store with about 12 bags of pea gravel, since I can't get a hold of the Hydroton. And we'll be washing it in this. So come back and see us for the continuing Hydroton nightmare, and we'll finally get around to getting some plants planted. Come on back and see us, and thanks for watching.